And action! Hey, it's Dr. Rick. I wanted to talk to you about resolutions. It's now January. It's freezing. I think it was below 5 degrees here in Chicago. But that won't last forever. And then we'll be in spring, and then summer, and then fall. And then before you know it, another set of holidays comes and we gain more weight. So that's what I usually see. My patients will usually be fine until the holidays. Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas or Hanukkah, and then you got New Year's. So what I would try to do is to pay it forward, lose as much or get real stable with your routine, your nutrition, your exercise before Halloween hits, and maybe lose a little bit beforehand, and that way you can go into the holidays and maybe have a little bit of leeway to not feel so guilty when you take advantage of the feasts. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about making it through the holidays. We're going to talk about possibly the diet choices that you can make if you're searching for the first time. And in fact, if this is the first time you're seeing me or finding me, please hit the subscribe button and then the alert button, and you can leave a comment on what you would like to hear in the near future, and I'll hopefully be able to produce it for you. So what do? I usually will see patients that are on a groove. They know what to do because they've done it before. But you have to play caution here, because if I hear somebody say that wants to go on a ketosis diet, and I've had a handful of patients that are asking me, what do you think about ketosis? I have no allegiance to any particular authors. I love them all. I mean, in fact, the best diet is the one that you can sustain on your own, but you got to read. You got to read, and you got to know the ins and outs of the authors. I wouldn't just go with a 15-minute video and just say, okay, I'm going to stop all vegetables. I have some people that follow the Pritikin in the daytime and then the Atkins at night. That way they can eat whatever they want at night if it's low carb. So that's not the way to do it. The way to do it properly, I feel, no matter what, whether you're doing ketosis, whether you're doing paleo, whether you're doing fasting mimicking diet or the gut diet, whatever you do, I really think that you have to have an endpoint. So if you set the calendar for when your next reevaluation would be, it makes it easier to get to that endpoint. If you just say, I'm going to go ketosis, I'm going to go 7,000 or 700 calories, 7,000, that'd be terrible, 700 calories a day, and that's it. Well, guess what? There's going to be priorities that come up. There's going to be deadlines. There's going to be sick people's family members or things that work, that projects that come up. And then you're going to be fighting to either stay awake or to burn calories, to problem solve, to lift more or do more work. And then you're going to be wondering, why the heck am I on this diet, right? So I don't have a question about how you will do when you're gung-ho. I have a question about how you will do when you're sick, when you're tired, when you're injured, or when a holiday comes up. So I would always have an endpoint, number one. And then I'd reevaluate, whether you reevaluate with me, with blood testing to see if you made a change, with a nutritionist, with a group. There's nothing more empowering than a group. Because a group, if you're in a group like Weight Watchers or a largest loser group at work, the group will keep you competitively in the game. And sometimes we get tired of these restrictions. I mean, let's face it, when you do a 50-hour work week, and you hardly have time to exercise, and you're starving or hungry because of the frustration. You remember, you don't have to be hungry from not eating. You can be hungry and the brain can search for food because you're stressed out, or you're stuck in traffic, or you're bored. When that bell or that alarm comes up in the brain, then it's going to be challenging. So you really got to get set. In fact, that's the next thing, is I like to have some form of mindful practice. Now, I've loosened my grip on mindfulness. I like meditation. I like guided imagery. I learned meditation and yoga and breath work with Andy Weil and Deepak Chopra. But it's not for everybody, and I understand that. However, you have to have some form of mindfulness. Now there's different vehicles to get there. Silence, stillness, going within, disconnecting with the media, internet, people that are disenabling. I would say it's important. Now you have to find your way. So you should commit to doing that too. Now whether you do it with meditation, guided imagery, listening to a CD, walking in silence in nature. I take people on hikes all the time. And those of you who will follow me on Facebook, you'll see that I always post pictures with Dr. Rick at hiking excursions. my groups that I take out. But you can be with a dog. You can be just sitting in front of a fire. There's something just with even that. You would think, what's sitting in front of a fire do? Well, number one, if you don't have any interruptions and you're just looking at the fire, it just makes you pay attention to the fire. And sometimes when you're just watching the crackling, the waving of the flames, you're waiting for the glowing to stop or grow, it makes you forget about the emails, makes you forget about the alerts, makes you forget about who's going to post on Facebook, about the schedule for tomorrow, about the insults from yesterday. It makes you forget about all that. And when you're in that sliver of time, even if it's a split second, your brain just got a calm hit of serotonin. And that will keep you satiated. If you're hungry, satiety is the opposite of hunger. When you're satiated, you're not hungry. When you're satiated, you're content. When you're satiated, you can sleep. You can tolerate stress. When you're hungry, you won't tolerate stress. You'll be thinking about hunger. When you're hungry, you won't be able to exercise properly. You won't be able to concentrate properly because you're hungry. Those are two opposite ends of what the brain tolerates or thinks has. And if you can be doing that on a regular basis, practicing your form of mindfulness, it will make the lifestyle change much more smoother. It'll make you hang in there when times become desperate. So the third thing, so that's nutrition practice of some sort, mindful practice of some sort, and then there's got to be activity. Now, this is the catch, because if you're doing 10,000 steps already, just doing the same steps will not make you burn more calories. So even if you do the 10,000 steps, which I congratulate you, 10,000 steps is a minimum. We should be doing that, and fitness trackers will help you get to that point or remind you. But I think resistance exercise is always empowering. I think it builds muscle. I think it burns fat. I think it makes you empowered to feel strong. I like resistance exercise. It also raises HDL. It also gives you that endorphin high. Now, cardio does that too. But I think cardio, just like the walking thing, there's some benefits to cardio. You get some muscle change. You sometimes will get that endorphin high. Endorphin and enkephalins are those feel-good hormones that get secreted in the brain and the body when you exercise. You can do it with running. You can do it with walking. You can do it with resistance training. But the resistance training has to be guided. It shouldn't be 1 to 2 hours of going to Planet Fitness and working out and flexing in the mirror. I don't do that. I used to do that when I was bodybuilding. Don't do it anymore. I think if I had more time, I would, but not too many people have that much time anymore. So if you can get in and out, perfect. But you have to be guided if you're not sure what to do with high-intensity interval training, or if you don't know what to do with it. If you go back to back with regards to exercise, giant sets, supersets, you have to be trained on that. Otherwise, you run the risk of injury. Cardio, it's easy. You get on a treadmill and you move. You get on a stair stepper, you move. You get an elliptical trainer, you move. But your choice of that kind of depends on how your hips are, how your knees are, what kind of training you have, how busy your gym is, where you can get out. Worst case scenario, if you're a little bit short on cash, you can always get a good pair of hiking boots, a backpack, and get outside. Be careful. I do have one vice principal who did that. He was doing great, and he slipped and smacked his head, black and blue everywhere. It was not a good experience, probably post-traumatic at this point. However, he did make some great gains till the point when he slipped. So black ice is not good. So thus, crampons, please. Or good hiking boots. Anyway, the idea though is some form of nutrition, some form of mindfulness, some form of activity. Those are the three things that I try to get my patients to at least establish as a grounding force. If you can get all that stuff planned, I think you do better in the long run. So that interval of 30 days to 45 days, that's just a gut shot target. Sometimes if you're really good with what you're doing, I'll let you go for 3 months and then we'll see each other again. But if you're beginning this thing, again, there's ways that will get you empowered. I would be cautious about doing the old stuff. So those of you who say, I know what to do, I just have to do it. If you have not been able to do it, I wouldn't go back to doing it because you stopped doing it before, and the things that made you stop doing it are probably still around, so you will not be able to do it for a long time again. So I would usually say throw that out or modify it. something different. If you want to, just like that smoking thing, if you stopped before but you got back to it, well, don't use the same technique. So think outside the box. Go to other people who have done that great kind of weight loss before and ask them. Go to a gym and ask around. Start conversations, see how people do it. If you notice somebody at work, ask them. And I have no problems with using a weight loss pill, but I usually will only rely on it for a truncated amount of time. I think to lose weight quickly is very empowering. You can already taste success if you see the waist drop fast. So that's why sometimes that ketosis diet is kind of cool, because you usually will lose weight fast, but it's very restrictive. So you have to have an endpoint, and then after the endpoint, either going back to the diet that you choose or changing it up a little bit and getting less restrictive. But either way, diet pills are not that bad. Herbal weight loss pills or thermogenics, not that bad. I think there's other ways to get satiated and lose weight and count calories. And by the way, that's also a different way to do it. Some people will count calories, some people will change macronutrients, proteins, fats, carbohydrates. Some people will throw fiber in. Some people will take thermogenics, like I mentioned, to get fat burners going. Some people will take mood-altering medicines to calm down stress so they can tolerate the change. This has all got to be designed by you, maybe me or somebody like me, integrative medicine, nutritionist, and your personal trainer or the group that you're going with. So don't do it alone. If you have, nobody's ever alone. There's always somebody else out there, whether it's locally to you, at work, at home, or through the internet. You can always find somebody. But your chances, if you're going to dive all into this change, I wouldn't just go half-ass. I would try to do as much as I can to prepare, know what to do. That's why these guys, if you're going to use an author of some sort, then you want to know exactly what they do in the chapters where they say, okay, I fail, or I'm getting tired. Look at the chapter that says that to see what the author does. There's always got to be a next diversion that you can go to if you skip out, if you're losing ground. So know that you're not alone. Know that if you increase your chances for success, then you will be more empowered. And it's not that hard. You just have to do a little bit of reading and research. Scrutinize people who are on diet kicks that use medicines or energy drinks. I am very apprehensive because there are side effects. If you're not sure about the side effects, take your supplements and or those things that have lost weight for your friends and ask your doctor. If you can't ask your doctor, you can always leave them in the comments below. I can hopefully get to it, but bottom line is, you do have to make changes, because most Americans do have to make changes, whether you're young, whether you're old. I don't think there's any boundaries there. I think everybody has a little bit that they can improve upon to get to the next level. If you don't make it, if you're older and you develop cancer, if you have a challenge and you lose a job, if you break up with your significant other when you're younger, that's okay. But at least you did the best you can to be the best you can be, and then you can get set for the next challenge in life. So thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Leave your comments below. Don't forget, if this is the first time you're finding me, subscribe and follow.